Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we are going to be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2022 regular season schedule that just dropped a couple minutes ago. We're going to be going through the entirety of this schedule and talking about all of the ins and outs of what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have ahead for this upcoming season. So, without further ado, let's get started. In week number 1, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers start off their season on September 11th at 8:20 p.m. against the Dallas Cowboys. It is an away game. Then in week number 2, on September 18th, they are away yet again playing the New Orleans Saints at 1 p.m. Then, in week number 3, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers finally have their home opener on September 25th at 4:25 p.m. against the Green Bay Packers. Then, in week number 4, on October 2nd, in another primetime matchup at 8:20 p.m., the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at home once again against the Kansas City Chiefs. And this is the first thing I want to talk about here on this schedule. Holy crap, what a difficult first month for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to start off the year. I mean, a really difficult year. I'm not going to give any record predictions in this video, by the way. I save that typically for a video later on in the offseason, but this is not an easy month to start off the year for the Bucs. You have an away game against the Dallas Cowboys. They were a playoff team last year, an overall pretty good team at that. You then have the New Orleans Saints away as well. They always seem to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers number in the regular season, especially in recent years whenever these two teams go head-to-head, so that is not going to be an easy matchup as well. You then have a home game against the Green Bay Packers, which, hey, the Buccaneers have played really well against the Packers in recent memory, but you can never count out Aaron Rodgers and the overall ability of that offense, and really just that team in general that the Packers put together on a year-by-year basis. And then you have a Super Bowl rematch versus the Kansas City Chiefs in week number 4. Again, another primetime matchup. 2 out of the 4 games to start off the year for the Bucs are primetime matchups. That's not an easy thing to see at all. And again, this is arguably, in fact, I probably would say it is the toughest stretch of games the Buccaneers have throughout the entirety of the season. So, yes, it is a very difficult first month for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but hey, at least they get it out of the way through the first month of the season. The regular season continues on in week number 5, October 9th. We have a home game versus the Atlanta Falcons at 1 p.m. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are then away once again in week number 6 on October 16th at 1 p.m. versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Following that game in week number 7 on October 23rd, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are away against the Carolina Panthers again at 1 p.m. And then in week number 8 to close off the second month of the regular season on October 27th at 8:15 in prime time. It is on a Thursday, I believe. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will have a home game against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. And this is a much easier stretch of games compared to the first 4 games we just talked about. You have the Atlanta Falcons, who definitely have a lot of questions going on right now with that team. They are definitely rebuilding in terms of what they want to do as a team. You have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who certainly have a decently sized question mark at the most important position in the game at quarterback. Will it be Mitchell Trubisky as the starting quarterback? Will it be Kenny Pickett? Who knows? But overall, that is going to be a big thing that could define how Pittsburgh is throughout the course of this upcoming season. I still think it is a favorable game for the Bucs. You then have the Carolina Panthers, who are in a very similar situation as the Atlanta Falcons. They are still trying to figure out a lot of things as a team as a whole. And then you have a matchup against the Baltimore Ravens to close out that second month of the season against Lamar Jackson, against the Ravens in prime time, yet again on a Thursday night. That is going to be a very good game. Thank goodness it's at home for the Buccaneers. It's going to be really interesting to see how the defense handles a guy like Lamar Jackson, who is probably the most electric player in the NFL right now. But Moving on to month number 3, I guess you could say, or the next grouping of 4 weeks here for the Bucs. You have the LA Rams on November 6th at 4:25 p.m. It is a home game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is a playoff rematch from last year when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers lost in the final seconds of that playoff matchup. You then have your Germany game, where the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be playing against the Seattle Seahawks in Munich, Germany at 9:30 a.m. in the morning. That is going to be an absolute doozy of a game. There's actually a lot of Bucs fans from Germany, which I think is a pretty cool thing. Excited to see a lot of you guys be able to go to that game. Shout out to all the Bucs fans in Germany. Then, following that game in Munich, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a bye week in Week 11. You then have an away game on November 27th versus the Cleveland Browns, scheduled for 1 p.m. And then I'm going to go ahead and throw one more game in here for this next bracket. On Week 13, December 5th at 8:15 p.m. ESPN, another prime time matchup for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It will be a home game against the New Orleans Saints. And looking at this block, there's a few things to talk about. The playoff rematch against the Rams, that's going to be a really good game. Again, the Buccaneers, that's a very, very tough matchup for them, so that should be an exciting game to see. Those teams have really had a fantastic back and forth in terms of games the past couple of years, so I'm excited for that one. The game in Munich, again, already talked about it. Really excited for all the Bucs fans that are out there in Germany. And hey, if anybody's going to Germany to attend that game, let me know, because I think that would be a pretty awesome thing to see as well. The bye week in Week 11, I think, is a very good sweet spot for this bye week. It's pretty much right smack dab in the little bit over in terms of being in the middle of the season. I still think it's a fine spot to have the bye week. You probably wish you could have had it a couple of weeks later, maybe Week 13, something along those lines, but Week 11 isn't too bad in my opinion. I think that overall that's a fine spot to have the bye week. It'll be some good late season rest for the guys. They'll be able to really make that final push to try and get into the playoffs and, have some sustained health and recovery that late into the season. I think is an overall good thing. You then have the Cleveland Browns, who, will probably have Deshaun Watson at that point as their quarterback, and that's going to be a very good matchup. The Browns are a very, very good team, especially with Watson in the mix over there now. And then you have the Saints again at home. Again, I say what I said for this first matchup in week number 2. Incredibly, incredibly difficult games for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It seems like they can never show up in the regular season versus the Saints. Will that change this season? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see, but the Bucs will be playing the Saints in a primetime matchup very late into the season in week number 13. Could it be for the NFC South at that point? I don't know. Let's just wait and see how all the cards unfold out into this mix. But the final stretch of games I want to talk about here is the San Francisco 49ers in week 14 on December 11th at 4:25 p.m. That is an away game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You then have the Bengals in week number 15, December 18th at 4:25 p.m. That is a home game for the Bucs. You then have week number 16, December 25th, Christmas Day. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be playing away against the Arizona Cardinals at 8:20 p.m. I'm going to assume that's a prime time matchup, so there is that. Then on New Year's Day at 1 p.m., Week 17, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be playing at home against the Carolina Panthers. Then, to finish out the year, this game is going to be played either on January 7th or January 8th with a time to be determined, but it will be an away game versus the Atlanta Falcons. And overall, this final stretch of 5 games, I think, is somewhere in the middle in terms of tough matchups. You have two really tough games against the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals back-to-back. That's tough, especially whenever you throw that Saints game into that mix as well. That's a tough 3 games there to close out a decent portion of the regular season. You have the Arizona Cardinals, who I think are also a really, really good team. They're playing the Cardinals on Christmas, which is, it's the NFL trying to get money. I guess that, that's what other leagues do a lot as well. We've seen it with the NBA. We've seen it with, many other sporting leagues as well, playing games on Christmas. So the NFL is finally getting back into that mix. And the Cardinals, I think, are a good team. That can be a difficult matchup. But they do finish out the year against the Panthers and against the Falcons, who, as I said earlier, are still trying to figure some things out overall as a team, and hopefully could give the Buccaneers a couple of good opportunities to build some momentum as they make their push into the playoffs towards the end of the season. So overall, folks, those are all of the games that we have. There are some difficult stretches, right? The first month of the year, you have the Cowboys, you have the Saints, you have the Packers, then you have the Chiefs. That is probably the toughest stretch of games that the Buccaneers are going to have throughout the entirety of the season, and it's at the beginning of the season. So that's good news. Things get a little bit easier for the next 3 games against the Falcons, the Steelers, and the Panthers. I think that those are all very winnable games for the Buccaneers. Good chances to build up some momentum. You then have the Ravens and the Rams back-to-back. Those are going to be 2 very tough games. One of those being a Thursday primetime game against the Ravens. Again, a couple of tough games there back-to-back. You then have to go all the way to Germany to play, but at least you have a bye week right after that. That's some pretty good news, and I think it's in a decent of enough position in the season to where the guys are going to be able to get some rest, guys are going to be able to recover from some nagging injuries, and they should have a little bit more juice going into the remainder of the regular season and hopefully into the playoffs as well. Then you have honestly a really difficult stretch of games now that I'm looking at it. You have the Browns, you have the Saints, you have the 49ers, you have the Bengals, and then you have the Cardinals. 5 games in a row. That's not easy. Again, Browns away, Saints at home, which is good, 49ers away, Bengals at home, and Cardinals away on Christmas Day. So that's a tough 5-stretch game there for the Bucs. I would still say that Cowboys, Saints, Packers, and Chiefs stretch to start off the season is a more difficult grouping of games, but still, that grouping is still not easy in the slightest. Those are all playoff teams in my opinion, and that's going to be a tough group of games there for the second half of the Buccaneers regular season. But on the bright side, they do get to end out the year with 2 games against the Panthers and the Falcons, which hopefully should be winnable games. So all in all, folks, this is a tough schedule. I mean, looking at this, you have the Cowboys, the Saints twice a year, the Packers, the Chiefs, you have the Ravens, the Rams, the Browns, the 49ers, the Bengals, and the Cardinals. Those are all playoff caliber teams and good playoff caliber teams as well, in my opinion. I believe the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the 3rd hardest strength of schedule this year, and you can obviously see why the Buccaneers are going up against some really, really top tier talent. But I am excited for this regular season. I really hope you guys are as well. There's a lot of different twists and turns. I mean, the Bucs are playing in Germany. The Bucs are playing on Christmas Day. The Bucs have the maximum amount of primetime games yet again this year. There are so many things to look at in this schedule, so many different things that are happening in this regular season schedule, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Overall, I think it's cool that the Buccaneers are playing in Germany. Again, shout out to all the Bucs fans that are in Germany. I am a little bummed they are playing on Christmas Day, but again, it happens whenever, leagues want money and all these other different types of things, and overall, there are a lot of really good games on this schedule, and I'm excited to watch all of these games go down. But what do you guys think about this schedule? What do you think about some of the positives that I talked about? What do you think about maybe some of the negatives that I've talked about? Let me know all your guys' thoughts and opinions. I would love to hear them. Which games are you excited for? Again, let me know as well. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.